There's no question that Nigel Farage is important, but he's important really for all the wrong reasons. And just as he has led the debate about Brexit and destroyed Britain's future, so too he could well destroy the United Kingdom itself. In the long shadow of Brexit and in the middle of the steadily shifting United Kingdom, it's not altogether fanciful to ask whether Nigel Farage, a man who has never held a seat in Westminster despite 8 attempts until the present year, but who has nevertheless shaped the nation's course more profoundly than many who have been in Westminster for year upon year, whether he could become Prime Minister, and more to the point, what should such a premiership mean for Ireland, for the North and the South. And Leo Varadkar has sounded the alarm, and the former Prime Minister of Ireland, Taoiseach, has told BBC Northern Ireland that a Farage-led Britain would make Irish unity not merely a dream of Republicans, but a centre-stage proposition across a broader political spectrum. Is he right? I think he probably is. To begin with some context, Brexit was not merely a rupture with the EU, it was a rupture with the complex and fragile constitutional ecosystem of these islands. And the imposition of an Irish sea border, though resisted by unionists, was born of British political necessity and Irish diplomatic calculation. And that arrangement was spearheaded, lest we forget, by Varadkar himself, who during the negotiations became a bête noire for Brexiteers and a lightning rod for unionist distrust. Now Varadkar claims that a Farage premiership would double down on Brexit, unpicking Starmer's cautious reset, rowing back on regulatory alignments, and heightening the divergence between Britain and the European Union. In short, a government of English populist nationalism would isolate Northern Ireland further than even Rishi Sunak and Harris. What's his name? Extraordinary. I know him well. Anyway, and the Windsor Agreement, economically, socially, morally. Chris Heaton Harris, from its neighbours across both seas, it will isolate us. And that, he argues, would not only rekindle the old Irish question, but recast it in modern terms of identity, of liberalism, of Europe, and of generational change. And Farage dismisses this as scaremongering. As I said, Brexit would end the Union. He said it didn't, and nor will a reform government. Well, I'm afraid a reform government will probably break Britain. His response is too glib. The Union has not collapsed, but it is cracked. Scotland, under the SNP, remains restive. In Northern Ireland, opinion is gradually shifting, not towards an instant vote for reunification, but towards an openness to the idea that once seemed unthinkable. Varadkar's prediction is not an act of provocation, it's an act of extrapolation. He believes that Farage's brand of English nationalism, one hostile to Europe, multiculturalism and even pride flags, is alien to the liberal and European outlook that many in Northern Ireland increasingly identify with, especially the young. It's a misreading to treat unionism as static. While the headline voting blocs have remained roughly the same since 1998, what underlies them, especially among the middle ground, is beginning to erode, and Varadkar, having stepped down from office, now speaks with the freedom of a man less encumbered by the daily grind of coalition. His renewed commitment to Irish unification marks a shift, some say opportunistic, others sincere. Yet others in Dublin are more cautious. Martin and Harris, Simon Harris that is, emphasise reconciliation over reunification. They don't want the trajectory, they merely reject the haste. Martin, ever the pragmatist, reminded Varadkar not to get obsessed with polls. Harris, while affirming the aspiration, focuses on the hard graft of planning. And in the north, unionists like Emma Little Pengelly have accused Varadkar of reinventing himself, warning that there's no real surge towards constitutional change. Well, not yet, not without Farage. And on balance, she's statistically correct. The nationalist vote has not dramatically risen, but this misses the point. The emotional centre of gravity is shifting, particularly among those who do not yet vote on constitutional lines. Nigel Farage paradoxically could become the midwife to Irish unity, not through persuasion, but through alienation. If his policies push Northern Ireland even further from the European mainstream, and if he governs in a manner that seems both culturally regressive and politically belligerent, then his own anti-EU, pro-union posture may catalyse the opposite. The Good Friday Agreement stipulates that a border poll must be held when it appears likely that a majority in Northern Ireland would vote for unity. No one believes that threshold has been met, not yet. But what if the next decade is defined by an England that feels to many in the north like a foreign country, while Dublin offers social liberalism, EU membership, and a growing economy? What Farage underestimates is that the union is not secured by flags or slogans, it's secured by affinity, and affinity is fraying. So is Leo Varadkar simply playing politics, or is he articulating a profound, if uncomfortable, truth? Farage's rise, even the mere threat of his premiership, is already having an effect on Irish politics. It's emboldening reunification discourse, energising scenario planning in Dublin, and reshaping the language of the constitutional conversation. He's not the cause of Irish unity, but he may well be the unwitting catalyst. And as one Northern Irish commentator recently put it, if you grow up with a gay sibling, a Polish neighbour, and an EU passport, and you see London turn its back on all three, you don't vote unionist out of sentiment, you vote for the future. And that, in the end, may well be the most powerful political shift of all, one driven not by borders, but by belonging, and one catalysed, once again, by Farage.